Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 8th Chakra Company's Tuesday night call. Today, we're going to be talking about discernment and judgment. And as you can tell, we have Bonnie is not here, and I'm going to be managing everybody coming through. And so, if you could all help me by making sure that you are you're muted and that your cameras are off, I would really appreciate that. Bonnie is not joining us today. She's not feeling well, so let's all send her rays and rays of love. Let's send her rays of light. She's not feeling well, and she's listening to her soul, which is what she and I always talk about. We got to listen to our soul. And I had some pretty amazing instructions from my soul over the last couple of days and sent me on a wild goose chase. But Bonnie is listening to her soul and getting some rest tonight. And I told her to, of course, do that, and that I would be okay and that I would handle it. And that our peeps on the phone, that's you guys, are going to help me to get this call to move. So let's talk a little about, because I do see some new people on the call today. This series that we just started 3 weeks ago is called Healing Humanity. And this is a wonderful opportunity for all of us to make a difference in the world by bringing our light and bringing our truth and really stepping into the healing of ourselves. Because when we heal ourselves, we are healing humanity. The Tuesday night call is our flagship product, the 8th Chakra Company's flagship product, and Bonnie and I, we just love this program. It is a gift for us, from us to you. We invoke the Ascended Masters and the Archangels, and the entire angelic realm is here, and we do open the Akashic Records before every call. So I did do that today, and to make sure that we are absolutely not only that we are bringing in light and bringing in healing, but that we are also invoking the Akashic records of you. So those of you that are on this call, whether you're listening to this call live or you're going to be listening to the recording, your records have been opened as a community. And that's what Bonnie and I do every single time we do this call. We open those records so that we can bring in the messages that are specific for you. Again, whether you're listening live or you're listening to the call. And that's really exciting. So I did open the records today for the community. And I know that the masters teachers of all of us have a lot to say for us today in the area of judgment and discernment. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the first half of the call, and for those of you that have been here before, you know how it works. The first half of the call, we're going to be talking and interacting with you. So because it's only me today, I really am going to need your support to raise your hand, send me a question on chat, and let's get the conversation going. When it's Bonnie and I, of course, it makes it a little easier when people are shy and you're not raising your hand, and that's okay. But it definitely will be really helpful for me and for you, for all of us to interact. So if you raise your hand at the bottom of your screen, there's a little place where you can either chat or you can there's the participants. You click on participants, you'll also get the opportunity to raise your hand. So work on your screen. Your screen might be a little bit different than mine, but you'll find it, and then you'll raise your hand, and then I'll call on you, and you can unmute yourself, or I'll unmute you, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so the second half of the call is when we bring in the messages. So for those of you that are coming in, please make sure to mute yourself and to make sure that your camera is off. So the second half of the call, I'm going to be bringing in the messages from not only from the angelic realm, but also from the Ascended Masters and the Akashic realm. I'll bring in those messages, and the whole time we're going to be doing some healing. There's already healing that is happening right now, and that happens quite often. Even before we got on the call, I started feeling downloads. There's a lot going on this week. Coming up on Sunday is the Beaver Moon. It's a full moon, and always about a week before the full moon, things can get a little bit agitated for us all. The bright frequencies and the high frequencies that are being sent to us by grandmother moon can sometimes stir things up for us. And so be on the lookout for that and make sure that you get rest. Sunday, I had to rest so much on Sunday because I was really being impacted by so much of the light and the downloads that were coming in from the moon. So just be gentle with yourself. And this full moon actually is the Beaver Moon. It's called that way because when they used to be fur trappers, it would be the last full moon before the beavers went into hiding. And so the fur trappers always wanted to make sure to catch those last beavers. So it's kind of interesting. But so Thanksgiving, of course, is right around the corner. And when we're around family, we can also get triggered. So this is a great opportunity for us to look at these the low frequency of judgment and see how we can alchemize it and how we can really raise ourselves to a place of discernment and to a place of love and compassion. So it's just a perfect opportunity to do that. Okay, so throughout this call, as always, for those of you that have been on the call before, I will be doing some alchemy, and there's already, as I said, frequencies coming in. You might be feeling some warmth. You might be feeling even light or tingly sensations on the top of your head. There is light coming through right now. I'm seeing a lot of peach colors, and that's really beautiful. They're sending us a lot of comprehension energies right now so that we can really, truly understand what our role is for all these gatherings that we're going to be getting involved with our families. We all play our roles, and sometimes those roles are not as easy as we'd like them to be, and we definitely get triggered. So judgment is piling up all over the place. All right, so I really want to open up the phones so that everybody can participate. So if you have a question or if you want to participate, please do let me know by raising your hand. Let's see, what am I missing? Okay, so our intention for tonight, and I invite all of you to have an intention as well, is to help us all step into the remembrance of who we are and the knowing of who we are. We are beautiful beings of light, and our soul is guiding us every single day. We can't get this journey wrong. We just can't get it wrong. But we want to be here as a powerful reminder that there is information that is always being connected through for us. And so we are connecting with that information. And right now we are in a contained bubble, a beautiful contained bubble. There's crystals everywhere, crystal activations, and there is activated crystals that are there for all of us. So that's a really beautiful thing. And we're going to be able to receive this information and receive this wisdom with so much love. For those of you that are just joining us, please know that Bonnie is not feeling well tonight, and so she's not going to be joining us. She sends everybody her love. She's going to post something on Thanksgiving, and she's just listening to her soul and making sure that she's taking care of herself. And of course, I told her to please do that. So for those of you just coming in, make sure that you're muted and that you are also your camera is off. That will be very helpful for me because I'm managing the chat room and I'm also managing the video and letting everybody into the room. So, all right. So our intention, again, is for us to remember who we are, to bring in light, and to have us be able to understand in a loving way, how can we tell the difference between judgment and discernment? We are all constantly judging. We're judging something. But sometimes we need to have discernment, right? We have to make decisions and we have to make choices. So obviously we have to be able to discern. And it's very important for us to move into that space where we can discern and place ourselves in a position to bring in light. So that's our intention, is to be able to understand. Okay, so again, if you could please make sure that your camera is off and that your video is, and that you're muted, I would really appreciate that, and just will be really helpful. We've got a lot of wonderful, wonderful people here, and I'm really excited to have everybody here today. And let me take a breather. Let me take a breather and be with all of you. As I'm seeing people coming in, and I'm seeing so many of you that have been with us before, that you're regulars on the Tuesday night call. And so I want to take a moment to welcome you back. And for those of you that are new, welcome to our call. And Bonnie and I do this call with so much love in our hearts. And I definitely have an amazing amount of love for all of you. And sometimes the love is so strong that it really literally puts us in tears. And as I walk sunrises every single morning, sometimes I am moved to tears and drop to my knees because the love is so huge. And that's what I really want to be able to provide for all of you today, is a container of love, a space of love as we're stepping into the holidays and how stressful that can be. I want to just send all of you immense amounts of love. And we're not alone. We're so supported by the angelic realm and the ascended masters. And again, the Akashic realm is one of the least judgmental places that I have ever known. And it's a beautiful place where we can receive love and compassion, and where we can receive total comprehension and understanding of who we are. So that's why Bonnie and I love to work with the Akashic realm. All right, so let's get things kicked off here. So the first thing that I want to bring up, and again, I do want you to participate by raising your hand, and then I'll unmute you, or you can unmute yourself. So judgment is painful, but I just would love to throw it out there. How many of you think it's painful to be a judge? When you're judging is just almost as painful as when you're being judged. So if anybody has an experience about being judged or judging, I would love to hear from you. I know for myself, I try really hard not to judge. And in alchemy, we have a key code that's 1212. And so when we find ourselves judging, we'll say 1212. And 1212 SB123 gives us an opportunity to alchemize that judgment and brings us into a space of love. So I catch myself all the time making judgments. I'll see somebody walking down the street and I'll find myself criticizing the outfit that they're wearing, or I'll be in the grocery store and I'll be judging the cashier for being too slow, or criticizing somebody in the store for complaining, or whatever it is. And I have to catch myself and make sure that I'm not in that space of judging people. So if you are, I would love to hear from you. If you do have an experience that you'd like to share about judging or being judged, that would be really awesome. All right, and for those of you that are just joining us right now, please know that Bonnie is not here with me today. I think this is the first Tuesday night call that the two of us have not been together. She's not feeling well, and so I told her that it was okay that I would handle the call on my own. So as you're coming in, please do mute your camera and make sure that you are and that you're muted. So, but I want you to raise your hand. I really do. So Karen, you keep popping up. So you must have something that you want to say, Karen. Let's unmute you. Do you have an experience that you want to share with us about judging or being judged?
No, I'm just fooling around with my phone here.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna mute you. It's so great to see you here. All right, so we're talking about judgment, and we're talking about how we are oftentimes finding ourselves in positions where we don't want to judge, and yet we find ourselves criticizing others. Judgment is a really low frequency. It's a very, very low frequency that actually puts us in a space of separation, and that's how I really like to view judgment. And the low frequency of judgment is an expression of separation. When we judge another, what we're actually saying is that we are separate from them. And separation is probably the number one illusion of the human reality, quote, reality, right? So to the degree that we can move away from judgment, to that degree we will become closer as unity, as one, closer to source, closer to the light. And so all these low frequencies are here for us. They're showing up for us so that we can clear them. And as I keep saying, the holidays is an amazing time where we definitely move into judgment. We go to Thanksgiving dinner, and there's definitely a family member that we're constantly judging, or we're being judged by a family member. So right now, I want to take a moment until someone raises their hand. I'm just going to be running the show on my own here, and that's fine. I love you guys, and please do, if you do want to say something, raise your hand, or you can chat it to me, and I'll share it. I want everybody to close your eyes for a moment. Just close your eyes for a moment and allow yourself to imagine one person in your life that you have a hard time relating to. Somebody that you are in constant judgment of, that you think that they're not friendly enough, that they're not kind enough, that they're not generous enough, that they're not loving enough, that they do too much of this or they do too much of that. Think about somebody in your life that you would like to bring into your heart. And then hold them in your heart space for a moment. And everybody has at least one person. And if you're really honest, you probably have 2 people or 3 people or even 10 people, because it's part of the human nature to be in judgment and to criticize and to be in this place of low frequency. It's part of what we're here to do, is to discover our truth and to remember who we are by stepping into oneness. And we do that through contrast. So if everybody could think about that one person, and I want us to do this as a collective. So now I'm getting the guidance because we have a beautiful archangel here that is with us. And so hold that person in your heart. It could be your mom, it could be your child, it could be a neighbor, it could be your aunt, it could be your grandmother. It doesn't matter who it is. Hold that person in your heart. And as you close your eyes, I want you to connect that person with your heartbeat. Let that person's image, the vision of that person, let your heartbeat surround that person. Let your heartbeat embrace that image of that person. And then let's all of us as a collective, let's imagine a beautiful gold cerulean light coming in through the crown of our head. Beautiful. This is a frequency that is very high frequency. It's a Christ consciousness frequency, which is all about unconditional love and unity and oneness. So let's envision that beautiful cerulean blue gold light coming in through our upper chakras and in through our crown. And let's imagine it move into our heart and envelop that person. The person that we are holding in our heart, the person that we don't think is enough of something or is too much of something. And let that person's image be surrounded and enveloped by this beautiful gold cerulean light. Wow. Nice. Okay, and I invite you to do that with everybody that you come across in the next few days. I invite you to bring that beautiful cerulean light into your heart and imagine love and compassion surrounding that person. Because when you are able to do that, the judgment really does start to slip away. Because really judgment is the opposite of unconditional love. It's about, as I said, it's all about separation. And it is the biggest illusion. I read a book a long time ago called The Disappearance of the Universe. And it was like one of the most amazing books that I read about the illusion of being human. And if you haven't read it, I would totally recommend it. And then, of course, the Paul Selig books that starts with the series I Am the Word are also beautiful books to read. We have a book club. Many of you that are on this call are in the book club. And we're reading these books, very, very high frequency books that, oh my gosh, so much of what we talk about is raising the frequency of or alchemizing these low frequencies. Okay, so let's have somebody participate here. How do we heal a low frequency of judgment? How can we experience that connection with all of us as one? Can anyone share an experience that you might have had when you found yourself being able to not be in judgment? I know there's some people on this call that have had those experiences. Okay, we got a very shy audience over here. So, all right. All right, well, I guess I'm going to carry this call on my own here. We got a hand raised, yay! Eileen, go ahead and unmute yourself. All right, you're unmuted, Eileen, go ahead. You got an experience you want to share with us about judgment? If you're talking, Eileen, I can't hear you. Oh, darn. You're definitely unmuted. Okay, so maybe something's going on with your technology, Eileen. Oh, but thank you. Maybe you can chat it. Maybe you could put it in the chat and then I'll share it with everybody. So one of the things for me with judgment that I really had to move through was with my mother-in-law, my ex-mother-in-law and ex-father-in-law. I have always found that they are, well, I love them and they're beautiful. They're beautiful people, but I've always found them to be so critical and hard to get along with. And, you know, sometimes it's hard to be around them because they're always like so dramatic and everything is so intense with them. And in the last year or so, as I observe them, I have been just enveloping them with love and with light. And I can actually now let them do whatever it is that they do. You know, they're 80 something years old and they are who they are. And I've been able to step into the place of saying, you know what, that's who they are and it's okay. And I could just let them talk. I can let them be who they are, surround them with love and bring in light and let them feel loved no matter what. And I know that when I experience being loved unconditionally, it's the most incredible feeling in the whole wide world to know that someone can love me without condition, that no matter what I do, no matter what I say, no matter what I look like, no matter what, that I can be loved unconditionally. And I think if we turn things around and we're all looking at that place, if you allow yourself to receive that unconditional love, then it makes it easier for you to be able to give that unconditional love to someone. And really, I think that that's the way to do the raising of the low frequency of judgment, is to just sprinkle it and pour unconditional love over it. Okay, so here's Eileen chatted. Very recently, there was someone who I judged without really even knowing her. It was an instant, visceral reaction. I asked for guidance, and through the records and Karen's assistance, I learned why it happened. A past life experience. Now I have absolutely no judgment for this person. And you bring up a really great point, Eileen, because sometimes we are having reactions to people and we don't know quite where those reactions are coming from, because they might be coming from an experience that we had in a past lifetime. I did a reading or healing a couple of days ago, and a young woman was talking about a very strong reaction that she has with her boss at work, where she gets nervous around her, is filled with anxiety, can't stand being around her, and it just doesn't want to be around her at all. And in the Akashic Records reading, we discovered that they had been competitors in a previous lifetime. And so she had always beat out this other gal. They were both men in that lifetime. And so there was like this competitiveness and aggressiveness amongst with each other. And so that's a great point that you bring up, Eileen. Absolutely. And that's one of the beautiful things about the Akashic Records, is that by opening the Akashic Records, we can often discover what are some of those relationships that we've had to help us understand why we might have animosity or why we may have a strong reaction towards someone in our life. So that's a beautiful thing to be able to do that. And right now, they're bringing in some light for everybody. So whoever, the person that you are holding in your heart, we're getting we're getting a download for each one of you, customized for each one of you. And I'm seeing it in different colors. It's amazing how I'm seeing it for each one of you individually. There's a light that's coming in to alchemize whatever that is and to give you, but in general, I'm also seeing the peach frequencies that were coming in at the beginning of the call. These are frequencies for comprehension, so that you can actually understand why that person is such a challenge for you. Why are you having a hard time with that person? And so the frequencies are coming in, so you might be experiencing, whether you're on this call live or you're listening to the recording, you might be experiencing some warmth in your body, or again, some tingling sensations somewhere in your body. Usually when we have reactions with people and they cause us to be in a place of judgment, we can feel them someplace in our body, maybe in the pit of our stomach or in our chest, or maybe in our head, maybe our eyes, or our shoulders. Sometimes when there's a person in our life that we may be judging because they might be a burden in our life, they may feel like a burden in our life, we might experience them as some kind of a weight on our shoulders. So whatever that part of your body is where you experience this low frequency of judgment towards that person that you're holding in your heart, that is now being surrounded and imbued with love, you're getting a special frequency to help you understand what that is. And so thank you, Eileen, for bringing that up. This is why it's so important to hear from you guys, because when you're bringing questions or when you're bringing contribution to the conversation, then the masters and the angels get to know a little bit more of a direction, so that I can interpret the messages that are coming through a little bit more. It's really more for my benefit and for me to be able to interpret the messages that are coming through. Wow. Okay. All right. So I would love to hear from someone else if you've got a situation. To be free of judgment, I think, is one of the most joyful things that we can experience. A lot of times we judge someone because it makes us feel like maybe makes us feel better when we criticize someone, or when we put someone down, or where we think that someone is not enough of something that we think we are. And so, but we don't need to do that, you know? We just don't need to do that. We don't need to put someone down. We don't need to judge someone in order for us to feel better about ourselves. The best way for us to feel better about ourselves is to bring in light and truth into our heart and to listen to our soul. Open our heart, open our heart, open our heart. So we've got an ascended master here that keeps saying, open their heart, open their heart. And so we're going to do a lot of opening of heart right now. And I'm seeing pink rose quartz coming through for everybody in the heart. It's about opening the heart. So everybody's getting an upgrade to the fourth chakra, which is really nice. Wow. Someone is saying, I think that it can be an unconscious action as well. Oh, yes, absolutely. Our first call of this series was about unconsciousness. We do so much out of unconsciousness, automatic reactions, where we tend to be a robot sometimes. So we react through habit, and sometimes it could be through things that we don't even realize we're doing. So yes, absolutely. We're judging people in an unconscious way. And that's one of the things about being able to be on this call, is that as you're raising your frequency, not just this call, of course, but this call really helps us to all raise our frequency and to be able to step into a place of love and a place of oneness. And as we do that, we become more conscious. The practice of reading your Akashic records, the practice of meditation, yoga, all these practices are really good for helping us to be more conscious and more aware, more present in our body. Grounding is very important so that we can be conscious, because it's important to be conscious. For those of you that are just coming in, thank you so much. Please do mute your phones. Okay. Thank you. For those of you that are just coming in, just so you know, Bonnie is not here. She sends her love, and she wishes everybody happy Thanksgiving. And gosh, I definitely do miss you, Bonnie. Your presence is definitely a missing. So thank you, Isaaca, for that. Yes, unconscious reactions do definitely throw us into not just judgment, but into all kinds of other places of low frequencies. All right, so, let's talk about discernment. So what's the difference between discernment and judgment? Let's say that I run into someone that I am discerning is not in my best interest to hang out with. Am I judging them, or is that discernment? How do we know the difference between discernment and judgment? Does anybody want to say anything about that? How do you know the difference when you're wanting to discern and when you're judging? Okay, well, I'll tell you what I think about it. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of an example of discernment that would be a really good example, and where I could contrast it with judgment. So there's a gentleman that walks on the beach every morning. Yeah, I've seen him pretty much regularly when I walk, and today I'm really excited to share with you that today was day 30 of year 2 that I've been walking the sunrises and catching every sunrise. I haven't missed the sunrise in a year and 30 days. That's pretty wild. But here in my home in Juno Beach, there's a gentleman that I see every single day, almost every single day. And he walks laterally, like he goes from the shore up to the end of the beach and goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And when I first started to notice him, I would say hello to him. And in the beginning, he would say hello to me and he would be nice. But at some point, he just started being just really grouchy, and he just never said hello anymore. And I would greet him and he just would completely ignore me. So there was a shift in him, and I don't know exactly how that shift happened, but it did happen. And so I had to make a shift for myself in the way that I was viewing him and how I was reacting with him. Because in the beginning, when he stopped saying hello to me and when he began to ignore me, I started taking it personally, like maybe there's something wrong with me or there's something wrong with him. And there was all this judgment everywhere. It was judgment everywhere. Something is wrong with him. I think he's crazy. He's moving through something. Oh my gosh, he's got negative energy around him. I better stay away from him. Or something's wrong with me. What did I do to him? Or, all of this stuff was going on in my mind. And I think I can see some of you smiling right now, because everybody has a person in their life that, or you run into that happens like that, that all of a sudden it's that voice in your head is like going back and forth. Is it me? Is it them? You know, what did I do wrong? And there's a lot of people, as I'm having this conversation, there's a few people that I could think about that happens with. So it took a few days for me to move through that space of saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with him. He is moving through whatever he's moving through, and it's okay. And I can still say hello to him. I can still greet him, and I could still send him love. And it could be okay that he ignores me, and I don't have to take it personally. And it's not doesn't have to be about me, you know. And I can send him love because whatever he's experiencing and whatever he's moving through is not probably fun. Because I saw him go from a vibrant, lively, fun person to a very low frequency, doesn't look you in the face kind of individual. And so I'm filled with compassion. And that's one of the things that I have discovered is so wonderful to alchemize judgment is compassion. So where discernment comes into place is I now am discerning that he's not someone that I'm going to come up to and have a conversation with or engage with him in a conversation, because I know that his energy is not up for it. So I'm making we use the expression judgment call. I'm making a judgment call, but it's really not a judgment. It's more like a discernment. I am distinguishing what is the right action for me to take. What is the right thing for me to say? What is going to work in that situation that is going to be in the highest interest of myself and of that person? That's discernment. That's how I view discernment. So I would love to hear from you guys. Here's Isaac is saying discernment is fun, is a fun, deeper knowing from within. Absolutely. It isn't personal. It is just more of knowing what is the best step to take in a moment. Yes, absolutely. And Eileen is saying judgment is like wine, like bad wine, I guess. Discernment is I don't like wine. Gotcha. Okay. Yes, very good. Judgment is like saying wine is bad. And discernment is saying, I don't like wine. So, and discernment could be, for example, I like wine and I'm not going to drink wine before an important meeting instead of wine is bad. So thank you. That's a great example. So there's all kinds of places where we can use discernment and where we can have judgment. And it's important for us to be able to know when we're discerning and where we're judging, because we want to bring more discernment. In fact, discernment is a really high frequency. Let's everybody close their eyes because I've never seen the color of discernment. So let's see. I would love to, if you could chat it to me. If everybody could close their eyes, I want to try an experiment. We've never done this before. Okay, so Bonnie, okay, I don't know if Bonnie would approve. We're going to bring in the color of discernment. Okay, so we've never done this before, but let's try it. And if everybody could close your eyes, and if you could chat what color you're seeing, that would be awesome. Okay, so I'm not going to say the color that I'm seeing because I'm pretty clairvoyant. I'm very clairvoyant. So I'm definitely seeing the color of discernment. And so if you are seeing it, I would love for you to chat it. And then let's see how many colors we get and how many of us see it in common. That would be really great. So just close your eyes, ask your soul, connect with your heart, listen to your heartbeat, connect with your heart. Okay, somebody just came through that we gotta mute. So if you're just coming on, please mute your phone. Okay, here we go. Thank you. Sometimes when you're getting in on the phone, you don't know what to do. So I totally appreciate that. Yes. Okay, Millie, you have your hand up. Let me go ahead and unmute you. Okay, I'm trying to. Okay, go ahead, Millie.
Well, this was before about judgment, but just now, when we went through the colors, I saw a pinky violet color.
Nice. I like that. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Anyone else? Peachy orange, like melon. Very nice. Yes. It definitely has peach tones to it, and it definitely has like a pink peach tone. It's a very unique color, but it definitely has peach tones to it. Very nice. Okay. So let's all now bring in that we're being gifted with these frequencies of discernment. And I think that discernment frees us up a lot. When you understand that you're making a discernment and that you're making a choice and a decision because it's the right thing for you in that moment. It's in your highest and best interest. And you're making the choice to maybe not spend time with someone, not because you think they're bad, kind of like the example that Eileen was giving about wine. You're making a choice not to spend time with someone, not because you are judging them or because you think that they're a bad person or they're not enough of this or too much of that. You're making a discernment to not spend time with them because it's not in your best interest to be around that person in that moment. Now, here's the tricky part. Okay, you ready for the tricky part about that? You also have to be able to discern when you're hearing the voice of your ego personality versus the voice of your soul. And this is one of the most important things that we can do for ourselves, is to have that discernment. And if anybody else is seeing a color, I would love for you to chat it in there so we can see how many colors people are seeing. It's really beautiful, the color of discernment. I work with a lot of people who often have a hard time discerning between the voice that's coming from the ego personality and the voice that's coming from the soul, your soul. And that's really important, because if you're going to make a choice or take an action, or you're going to speak something based on the discernment of your soul, that would be different if you're hearing that voice and it's coming from your personality ego. Because our personality ego has a very different agenda than our soul does. And so it's important to discern which is which. So I would love to hear if anybody has a proven method or something that works for them to discern the voice between the soul versus the personality ego. Personality, well, I'll say what I want to say, but I would love to see if anybody else has something that they'd like to add about discerning personality versus soul. It's one of the biggest lessons and teachings that we've come here. To be a soul in a body, one of the biggest challenges that we have is to be able to discern the voice that's coming from our personality, from our ego, and the voice that's coming from our soul. I call it our soul voice. I call it the inner voice with a capital I, and I call the personality ego voice the inner voice with a little I. So definitely it's a huge difference. So I would love to hear if anybody has an example that they can give, or how do you discern between your soul and your personality? Okay, we got a really shy crowd here. All right, so I'll share with you how I discern. And this is really important, and we're going to start getting the messages from the Akashic realm here in a few minutes. Obviously, because Bonnie's not here, she won't be bringing in the messages, so I'll be able to take more time to interact with you guys. But the discernment of our soul and our ego personality is really, really important. And so I'm taking a moment to ground myself, because my tendency is to go into this place of like explaining things from a logical standpoint and from a scientific standpoint. And this conversation really does not have much of a logic to it, because so much of it is intuitive. But there is some keys that I would love to share with you on how to discern between those two voices. And one of the ways to do that, well, let me use the analogy of the Akashic realm. If you are familiar with the Akashic realm, and if you have been reading your own Akashic records, or even reading the Akashic records of someone else, when you begin to read the Akashic records and you open the Akashic records, you probably are going to be challenged, because you're going to think that what you're feeling or what you're thinking or what you're seeing with your imagination or with your third eye is not real, or that it's coming from your personality, or that it's coming from your imagination. You want to discern if it's coming from the Akashic realm. And so I always tell people, if you say the prayer that Bonnie and I teach in our classes, you can bet your bottom dollar that you are in the records. However, if you stay in there in enough time to let your personality interfere, your personality will interfere at times. And how you know your personality is interfering is because what you're hearing or what you're seeing or what you're feeling doesn't feel happy, doesn't feel loving, feels somehow off in the direction of negativity, or in the direction of a low place, or in the direction of something that is painful or fearful. That's how you know the difference. So let's go back to that example of, if you want to be with someone, you think about being with someone, but in that moment, you're making a discernment that now is not the time to be with that person. You got to now ask yourself the question, is that discernment coming from my ego, or is it coming from my soul? And there's always a teaching behind what our soul is saying to us. There's always a loving teaching. There's always a teaching that has us grow and expand. Whenever we are hearing messages, or whenever we are hearing wisdom or information that doesn't feel loving, it's probably coming from our ego. And believe it or not, our ego has a lot to teach us too. There's wisdom. Our ego has wisdom to teach us too. It's not just our soul that has wisdom to share with us. Our personality also teaches us. We need our personality. We need our ego. But it's important to understand where that information is coming from, so that we can make choices that are really pure of the heart and pure of love. So that's a really important way to tell them. Do they feel loving? Do they feel compassionate? Do they feel like they will expand our awareness and expand our consciousness? Help us be in a place of more unity and oneness with all of humanity. Is that message that's coming to us helping us in some way to feel more connected with ourselves, to feel more connected with our truth? If we are feeling more separation, or if we are feeling anger, or if we are feeling anxiety, or if we are feeling fear or pain, chances are that that message is not coming from a higher place. So not chances, it is not coming from a high frequency place like our soul. It's more likely coming from our personality or our ego. And you know what? We can learn a lot from messages that give us anger. We can learn a lot from messages that make us anxious. We can learn a lot from fear and from pain. Absolutely. And we have those lessons all the time. We have lived lifetime after lifetime experiencing lessons through pain and suffering. So we get to choose, really. And I think that's where we're going. And that's what so much of this Healing Humanity series is about helping us understand and see that we don't have to be in pain, and we don't have to suffer to learn and to grow in our awareness and in our consciousness. We actually can experience life with ease and grace. We actually can learn the teachings, learn the lessons that we came here to learn, and grow through ease and grace, and through love and joy and compassion. We don't have to have pain and suffering. But I think in some ways we have forgotten that. And we just kind of like in this automatic place, we think we have to suffer in order to learn something. We feel like we need to experience pain. So if we have a few more minutes before I open the records I open the doors for the messages to come through. So if anybody would like to share something, I would love to hear it. Now is the time. All right. Okay, so I'm going to tune in, and I'm going to ask everyone to tune in with me as we're holding the container. And we're going to now, I want everybody to connect with your heartbeat. Allow yourself to feel your heartbeat right there in the center of your chest. So we're receiving a download right now. It's a beautiful rainbow download. And rainbow is a frequency that I started seeing about maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It's a beautiful frequency. It's very loving. And it is about oneness, and it is about unity, and it is about helping us come out of illusion and into, or come out of illusion and out of separation. And this is what they want us to know today. This is what our masters and teachers and what the angelic realm is here to talk to us about. So much of the pain and the suffering that humanity experiences. And in this moment, they want you to hold something, some kind of memory that you have that's painful. We all have a painful memory in our life. It might be from when you were a child, or it might be from yesterday. You know, we have so many painful memories. So they want you to hold that painful memory in your heart right now. Everything that we move through, every experience that we have, we call it upon ourselves through our agreement. We have agreed that we want to experience certain things. Who we are in truth is the expression of the divine in a body. Source expresses source through the physical realm. It is in the physical realm that we are able to experience everything that the physical realm allows us to experience. And it is in the physical realm, because of the contrasting nature of the physical realm versus the spiritual realm, that we actually can elevate and raise our frequency. When we are not in our body, we are not able to raise our frequency in the same manner, accelerated as we do when we are in a physical form. So we come into this body in order to experience the ability to remember who we are, but also to experience the raising of our frequency and the expansion of our consciousness. In that journey, there is the appearance of personality and ego. Now, this is what they want us to understand. The ego, the personality, is an aspect of human nature. It is the aspect of human nature that allows us to see reflection of who we are. And so through our personality and through our ego, we see reflection of who we are and who we are not. And we also see the reflection of who our brothers and sisters are and who they are not. And so in acknowledging and embracing our personality and our ego, we are actually able to view the other side of what that is. We cannot see the other side of what that is if we are not seeing this side of that. So they want me to pause so that we can all understand this, because it's through our personality and our ego, which means the frequencies of judgment, the frequencies of anger, the frequencies of frustration. When we are feeling frustration with someone, when we are feeling anger with someone, when we are feeling judgment towards someone, we are feeling separation. But that separation is here so that we can understand that oneness is truth. So I always use the analogy of fish in the water. If you're a fish in a bowl of water and you're always in that water, you don't know the difference. You don't know that there is another world that exists. You just are in the water all the time. If you come out of the water as that fish, you can't breathe as fish breathe. You're now experiencing the shock of the air, and you will die unless you go back in the water. It's a little bit like that when we are separated from source. We are taken out of the water, and we do that by choice, because as we are taken out of the water, in other words, separated from source, we are not able to see through that contrast that we are source. If you are always something, you don't know that you are that. And this is what they want us to understand. If we don't know that if we are always something, we cannot know that we are that something. They want me to say that again. If we are always something, we cannot know that we are that something. And so separation from source has been very important for us. It's been very important for us so that we can actually find our way back to source and know who we are. And so this experience of judgment and this experience of feeling all the low frequencies that we experience as human beings that have brought us results that we are not interested in having. There is not one person on this phone call that is interested in war. There is not one person on this call that is interested in poverty or in homelessness or in dis-ease. There is not one person on this call that is interested in animals being slaughtered. And so we are producing results that are not who we are. And now it is time for us to see this, because now we are out of the water in a shocking way, seeing what it is like to not be in the light, what it is like to be outside of the light, what it is like to be in separation from source. And it's taken a long time for us to realize this. It is taking a long time for us to understand why that's important. And they want us to know that it has been very important for us to understand this. It has been very important because in the not knowing, we know. And in the not knowing, we know. And when we know, and we've come from the not knowing, we grow more. And that is the whole purpose why Source has separated us, so that we can experience this return to oneness. So as all of you are holding that memory that you were asked to hold, that painful memory, whether it happened yesterday or it happened in your childhood, or maybe you are aware that it happened in a past lifetime, that's okay too. We are now going to close doors, and the entire angelic realm is here. We are now going to close the door to those memories, because we are being given the gift of not having to hold that painful memory. And as we close those doors, we are now going to step into the light of who we are in truth prior to that memory, of that painful memory. I'm not sure how that's working, but I'm just telling it like it's being given to me. So as you're holding that memory, I'm seeing the entire angelic realm is closing the doors. I'm starting to feel a tremendous amount of heat. You might be experiencing it too. It's starting to move really, really, really fast. The light is moving really, really, really fast now. Phew, it's moving through. I can see it moving through the entire community. So those doors are being closed. Doors are being closed left and right. And I'm seeing a lot of gold coming through. A lot of gold coming through. Wow, really, really fast. So congratulations, because you are now closing a door to a memory that no longer serves you. And that is a really, really good thing. And as that is happening, there is a light that's shining. So there's a gold quartz. It's almost like it looks like a gold quartz gem, like a little tiny diamond, but it's gold quartz. And it's shining. It's really, really shining. And everybody is receiving that gift in your throat chakra. And it actually has a line that's moving down from the throat chakra into your heart chakra. So there's a connection. It's like a line of communication from your throat chakra to your heart chakra, and vice versa, coming up from the heart into your throat. Wow. So this is all part of the closing of that door, and then the receiving of that, so that your soul, this is going to connect you in the expression of who you are in truth, connecting you with who you are in your heart, listening to your soul, being able to discern the voice of your soul, being able to discern the voice of your soul. Wow, that is just so beautiful. Being able to discern the voice of your soul, that light is coming in right from your heart. And I'm feeling so much heat right here in my throat area as I'm experiencing that download. Some of you may be experiencing it as well. And if you don't feel it, that's okay. It's nonetheless happening. I'm seeing it for everybody, whether you're listening to the call live or you're on the recording listening to it. So we're receiving this beautiful gift of communication. Wow, and I'm feeling the heat that's coming in now through our heads is quite amazing. But this line of communication between the throat and our heart is very, very powerful, very, very powerful, allowing us all to be able to discern the voice of our soul, discern the voice of our soul. What they want me to say it again, allowing us all to discern the voice of our soul and be able to speak the truth of our soul. So you're all receiving that. Really important for us to be in the place of awareness. Somebody, I think it was Isaac, mentioned about unconsciousness. This is going to help us too with unconsciousness, because the most important thing that we can do on this journey of healing ourselves, which is what we are doing so that we can heal all of humanity, is to be able to wake up, is to be able to be aware of what is happening in our surroundings. So whenever you are finding yourself in a place of judgment or in a place of frustration or a place of anger towards someone, towards your brother, towards your sister, towards your mother, towards your son, towards your daughter, towards your neighbor, remember this connection that's here and listen to the voice that's coming from your soul. Allow it to connect up into your voice and speak something different that you normally would not have spoken when you're experiencing anger. What do you speak when you experience anger? What did you used to speak when you experience anger? You are not going to speak the same anymore, because you are now going to be able to speak with awareness. You're going to be able to speak out of consciousness. You're going to be able to speak from a place of being awake. And what will come out of your mouth will be something that is compassionate. It will be something that is loving. It will be something that brings you closer to your own truth and helps that person that you're feeling anger towards. And it doesn't mean that you don't have to feel the anger. It's okay to feel the anger. It's okay to feel all our feelings, but it doesn't mean that you have to react inside of that anger. React, alchemize that anger with compassion, alchemize that anger with understanding, alchemize that anger, and ask your soul, what is the way to alchemize whatever that emotion that you are experiencing that doesn't feel good and that is probably hurting the other person that you are experiencing that emotion towards. So as we come close to closing, I just, wow, tremendous amount of frequencies coming in here for everybody. And I know that I speak for Bonnie and myself to wish everybody a beautiful Thanksgiving. We will be thinking about you. And as you are moving around and listening to the voice from your soul, the voice that your soul is speaking is always loving, and it is always compassionate, and always filled with expansiveness, and it always filled with forgiveness. So bring that light and bring that voice into your family gatherings, into your interactions at the grocery store and when you're going shopping. Bring that voice, bring that frequency, because it is what's going to bring us together, and is what's going to break down the walls of illusion and the walls of separation. So I'm going to check the chat here. Thank you, Eileen. She's saying this is beautiful. Happy Thanksgiving and thanks for everything. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love all of you so much, and thank you for being here and for all the love and the support that you provide us. And, you know, Thanksgiving is about being thankful, and it is about being in gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful frequencies. Gratitude will alchemize just about anything. I've been proving that a lot lately. So there's another way for you to be able to alchemize whenever you're experiencing anything that is making you feel uncomfortable, that is making you feel uneasy, that is making you feel sad or lonely or afraid or in pain. Bring in gratitude. And that's a fabulous thing to do this holiday season, is just keep invoking gratitude. There's always something that you can find to be in gratitude about, something that you can be grateful for, something that you can appreciate. And the other thing too that I want to bring for you is to allow yourself to feel appreciated. Wow, what a concept that is. Allow yourself to feel appreciated. When was the last time you allowed yourself to feel appreciated? So when someone says thank you to you, say, oh gosh, thank you for appreciating me. And thank them for appreciating you, and let that warm light come into your heart. It is such a powerful, powerful frequency. So Bonnie and I will be thinking about all of you. We'll catch you next week. So our next session is going to be on November 27th, and we're going to be talking about anger and betrayal. So don't forget to catch that with us. And Everybody have an amazing Thanksgiving. We love you so much. And check out Bonnie's post when she posted on Thanksgiving. She's going to post something on Facebook. I know she's missing all of you very, very much. And I'll probably talk to her later and let her know that everything went good and that I did good by myself. All right, everybody. I love you all. Have an amazing, amazing Thanksgiving. And don't forget to love yourself and to appreciate yourself. Good night, everyone.